Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee is the site for today's SEC on CSS presented by Regions Bank matchup as Tyler Bray leads the Big Orange against Khalil Mack and the Buffalo Bulls. Welcome to Rocky Top, where today the Tennessee Vols seek their first 3-1 season start in 5 years, beginning a brutal October schedule as they take on the Buffalo Bulls of the Mid-American Conference. And good afternoon, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by legendary Florida Gators wide receiver Chris Dorian. And Chris, your first catch actually came on this field. You love catching the football. You'd love to play for a guy like Tyler Bray, who here in his sophomore season is doing things that only Peyton Manning did at the school.
Yeah, when your name's mentioned with Peyton Manning, you play the quarter.
And he's thrown at least 2 touchdown passes in 9 consecutive games, and even Peyton didn't do that. Now the Bulls come in here heavy underdogs, but the one guy that Derek Dooley and the entire Tennessee team has talked about all week is their outside linebacker, Khalil Mack.
Yeah, when you watch Khalil Mack on tape, he looks like an SEC-type linebacker.
A spectacular sun-splash fall day here on Rocky Top. Temperatures around 60 degrees as the Tennessee Vols are back home. A week off last Saturday after their loss at Florida, and the Vols are anxious to get things going here today. One of the great traditions in Southeastern Conference football, the Tennessee Vols running through the tee. The SEC on CSS, Buffalo versus Tennessee, presented by Regions Bank. Opening kickoff coming up next. Volunteers in the Neyland Stadium for game number 4 of the 2011 season. Buffalo versus Tennessee. The third member of our broadcast team is Maria Taylor down on the side. Thank you, Maria. And Derek Dooley's team got some scars and got some battle testing 2 weeks ago when they were 33-23 losers at Florida. Derek Dooley, now in his second season, 8-8, went 2-6 in his first 8 games. Chris, he has gone 6-2 since.
Yeah, he's been very good in the last portion of last year and into the beginning of this season, and it's kind of corresponded with that switch of quarterbacks there. When Tyler Bray took over, he has been fantastic. Today, his 9th start, and we'll see if he can do it today without Justin Hunter, his favorite receiver.
And the opening kick will be taken by Terrell Jackson at the 5-yard line. And Jackson up to the 30, a 25-yard return, and that's where the Buffalo Bulls will go on offense for the first time today. They are led by their quarterback, number 7, Chaz Anderson, 7th in the 13-team MAC. So on 1st and 10, pass is thrown complete to Terrell Jackson. Pickup of about 7 yards up to the 37, and time now.
Play assignment smart. We'll take a look at Tennessee's keys here in a second.
First running play of the day for the Bulls, and they actually lost a couple of yards on that.
And let's take a look at Tennessee's keys. As we spoke with Derek Dooley yesterday, he mentioned we got to replace number 11. He was leading the SEC in catches and yards at 18.5 yards per catch. They're going to look to 4 or 5 different guys for that productivity to fill that void that was left with his injury. And then defensively, they have to eliminate big plays. Justin Wilcox, the defensive coordinator, told us they've played well in spurts, but it's 3 or 4 plays a game that have been doing them in. They're trying to tighten that up today.
3rd down and 5. And Brandon Oliver on the handoff from the quarterback Anderson did not pick up the first down. So after getting 7 yards on their first pass, they do not pick up the first down. Austin Johnson, the middle linebacker, making the stop, and so it's going to be a 3 and out for the Bulls. And going deep to take this punt for the Volunteers will be Devrin Young. Local Volunteers fans have been excited to see this young man play. This is his first action of his collegiate career, and you hear the applause for the young man out of Bearden High School here in Knoxville. Let's see how he does on his first return. lights up the crowd. And tripped up at the 48-yard line. Devrin Young, the folks here in Rocky Top been waiting to see this young man play, and they were not disappointed the first time he touched the ball.
You know how excited this young man is here playing in front of the home crowd for the first time. I know how it was my first time out playing in the swamp. Growing up a Gator fan in Gainesville, it's a dream come true. The only better way to start than that is if he eludes that final tackle and gets into the end zone. But what a return for Devrin Young here. He's a guy that Derek Dooley said, we're playing a lot of true freshmen today. We're going to go ahead and get these young men some experience against Buffalo. And he certainly came out and looked pretty good on his first opportunity.
Bray back to pass on the first snap, throws it complete to Zach Rogers, and Zach Rogers hauled down from behind by Najah Johnson, the cornerback, but a first down for the Volunteers. You see the numbers for Tyler Bray the last 3 games. The 83% completions against Cincinnati, a school record. And it wasn't on just a couple of passes, it was on 41 pass attempts.
You know, a lot of people have been critical that Tyler Bray's been putting up these numbers in easy situations. 2 weeks ago against Florida was probably his first test, the first game outside the state of Tennessee. And even though they lost Justin Hunter and he had to throw 48 times a game in that game, he was very poised and played for 60 minutes, something that got the coaches very excited.
Pass is complete to Rajon Neal, and Rajon Neal picks up another first down. So 3 big plays for the Volunteers to start this game.
Matt, if you play wide receiver here at Tennessee, not only are you expected to catch the ball, but you're expected to block as well on the edge. Good job by Vincent Dallas of springing Rajon Neal on the little bubble screen there. And Rajon Neal's the guy that we talked to Derek Dooley about yesterday as well. We can expect to see him line up not only at the tailback spot, we'll see him in the slot at the wide receiver position as well.
Neal is a guy who was transitioning from running back to wide receiver even before the injury to Justin Hunter. End around, wide open space and a touchdown, easy for the Volunteers. Torin Poole takes it in, and the Volunteers waste no time getting into the end zone. Was that Rajon Neal?
I believe that was Rajon Neal there on the touchdown. Take a look at the reverse.
Yeah, it was number 20. Sorry, not
the replay.
28. It's hard to see the number.
Rajon Neal again, a guy that Derek Dooley was not lying about in terms of getting the ball early in the game.
Pilardi with the PAT, and it takes the Volunteers just 3 minutes and 2 seconds to get into the end zone. Rajon Neal takes it in for the early Tennessee lead. Couple of big plays from Rajon Neal, who's really seen his first action of the season, had been banged up a little bit, as we mentioned, also transitioning from running back to wide receiver, a big pass catch, and then he ran it in from 20 yards out as well. Terrell Jackson, who probably on this kick return will break the all-time return yardage record for the Buffalo Bulls, takes it around the 10-yard line, steps out of bounds at about the 25, and that's where by Ram, and also powered by Rajon Neal. 3 plays, 48 yards, 114. Devrin Young set it up with a big 43-yard punt return, and then Neal capped it off with a 20-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, Tennessee fans very happy to see a quick strike drive there to start the game. Obviously, after that loss to Florida, it was very difficult to kind of recover. I think the bye week came at a good time for them. Coach Dooley wasn't sure what to expect on the first game out after that bye, but 3 and out for the D and a 3-play drive for a touchdown. Pretty good.
Anderson throws complete to out.
Good completion there out to Newts, one of the good receivers that Buffalo has in this group.
Pass is thrown, and it's tipped this time, nearly picked off again. They were trying to go to Newts on the near sideline, and Isaiah Lanier, who is making his first career start, nearly had the big play.
It'd be assignment sound to get lined up and recognize, as Buffalo won't do a lot of different things, but they'll make it look differently the way that they line up.
Anderson on 2nd down and 10, rolling to his right. Will sprint to the outside and pick up a first down, and Moore stepping out. That was a 21-yard run. When you take away his sacks for the season, he's actually rushed for over 180 yards now. Brandon Oliver, no running room. Malik Jackson, the senior defensive tackle, stopping him in his tracks. Actually lost yardage on the play.
Nice penetration there by Malik Jackson. Jackson, a transfer from USC, a guy that had an MCL injury during preseason camp, but has really bounced back well for Tennessee. And he's a guy that you got to have out there. There are not a lot of senior-type guys on this defense, but he and Ben Martin certainly provide some leadership that this young defense needs.
Second down and long. Brandon Oliver again, very little running room. Daniel Hood, the nose tackle, a guy who moved over from the offensive line prior to the start of this season, made the tackle.
Look for him here against the run today against this Buffalo offense.
Anderson rolling out on third and long, throwing downfield. Terrell Jackson unable to make the grab as he steps out of bounds. Prentice Wagner in the coverage, and now it's going to be fourth down.
Buffalo does not have
fourth down and 9. Jacob Shum with a 53-yard kick his last time, but he also gave up a 43-yard return. This one's off the side of his foot and bounces to the outside. No chance for a return by Devin Young, and the ball will be down at about the 16-yard line, and that's where the ball's going offense for the second time today. 6.5 minutes in with the Volunteers on top 7-0. Buffalo with 9:35 to play here in the first quarter. Derek Dooley said he was concerned that the Volunteers might come out flat today. Whenever you have a bye week, you get out of your routine, but Chris, it seems like Tennessee has been anything but flat to start this ball game.
No, as I mentioned before, 3 and out in their first defensive possession, and then offensively 3 plays for a touchdown. Doesn't look like the off week threw them off at all.
Torin Poole on the carry this time. Got a block on the edge by Neal, and Torin Poole scampers out to the 40-yard line. Wow, Rajon Neal really being active today. Threw a nice block on that play.
Yeah, you'll see Rajon Neal. He'll get the fake around, and then Torin Poole bounces it back to the right. Neal gets an opportunity to block the contain man, and as we talked about in the open, one of the keys for Buffalo is for them to do their job defensively. If you're the contain man, you have to keep outside leverage and turn the runner back inside and let your teammates come make a tackle. That time, they did not play their assignment very well on defense.
Tennessee is number 1 in the SEC in passing. They are number 10 in the nation. They are 12th, dead last in running, and 112th in the nation. Trying to do something about that here today as Marlon Lane becomes the 3rd different Volunteer to carry the ball early in this contest. Picks up about 4 yards before Khalil Mack makes the tackle for the Bulls.
Torin Poole's the stud here in terms of production on the ground for Tennessee over the last year and a half. But the coaches have been a little disappointed with the inconsistency from all the guys at the running back position. Therefore, we've already seen a lot of Neal today. We've seen a lot of Poole, and now you see Marlon Lane, the freshman back there. All 3 of those guys will split time for Tennessee's offense.
On 2nd down and 6, the play action, Bray forced to scramble a little bit and threw it incomplete at the 40-yard line. Was looking for the freshman tight end, Brendan Downs. Bray has been in on 10 of the Vols' 15 offensive touchdowns this season. Pass is thrown, it's complete to Derek Rogers. And Rogers with a first down at the 46-yard line. I'm sorry, that's Michael Rivera.
That's the tight end Rivera lined up on the outside. Just runs a little under route. Tyler Bray reads it, gets it to him right away for the first down.
Apologize, having some trouble with the bright jerseys and bright numbers. That was Michael Rivera. So it's first down. Ball is at the 46-yard line. Ball at the 36-yard line, and that was Rogers that time on the grab. Stay up to date with SEC football news and 1st and 10. Ball is at the 36-yard line. Marlon Lane on the carry, and Lane picks up about 3 yards on the play.
They can hold up against this Tennessee offensive line today.
Second down, Torrin Poole tries to beat his man to the outside and does, and Poole picks up a first down as he's knocked out of bounds around the 23.
1st and 10, Tennessee.
Little delay draw there to Poole, and he does a good job of getting to the outside. I'm sure the coaching staff, including offensive coordinator Jim Chaney, excited to see the way that he's responded to the challenge that the coaches gave him after that game at Florida. He was essentially benched in the second half as they went with strictly Marlon Lane for much of that second half against Florida. He's come back and been productive and answered with authority here today so far.
Bray scrambling and throws it out of bounds. Got tripped up by Colby Way, the defensive end. And second down. Poole gets the carry, trying to follow his fullback blocker. Actually trying to follow one of his offensive linemen out there, and gets inside the 20-yard line down to the 19.
Third down, Matt, is where I mentioned earlier in the open that Tyler Bray has really played well to this point in time in the season. Over 76% of his passes on third down have gone for first down completions. Not only are we seeing an opportunity for him on third down, but the red zone chance here as Tennessee has stuck it in the end zone. 12 of their 16 opportunities this year. That's one of the best in the entire country.
On 3rd and 4, they go to Rogers for a first down inside the 10, and Dayrick down to the 7.
Pass complete to Dayrick Rogers.
This is just an example of a defense giving too much room on the outside there, as Dayrick Rogers is a guy that is a physical wide receiver that does a good job of running past the sticks, catches the football, and then muscles his way inside the 10-yard line for the first down.
Tennessee in the red zone. 11 of 15, 71% on their touchdowns. They were only 50% a year ago. Right up the middle and nothing doing.
Other SEC opponents they'll face, they've got to score touchdowns when they have a chance. They've done it so far this season.
Second and goal from the 7. Rogers made the catch and scored the touchdown.
Dayrick Rogers, touchdown, Tennessee.
Dayrick Rogers. 5th touchdown, and it's coming right at you.
Here's the big physical guy we talked about earlier. Dayrick Rogers does a good job of using his body to shield off the defender. Probably not the best throw. I guarantee you, offensive coordinator Jim Chaney wasn't excited about him throwing that hitch out there late. But Dayrick Rogers does a good job of rescuing him and completing that pass for a touchdown.
Pilardi with the PAT. 11 minutes and 7 seconds into this ball game. The Tennessee Vols 2 for 2 on their possessions and now lead 14-0. Let's take a look at today's Regions Bank SEC passing yards, over 6,400 in the air, 4th in touchdown passes with 36, and 4th in career wins with 24. Andy Kelly, our Regions Bank SEC great, and you can find Andy Kelly every game down on the sideline, working the sidelines for the Tennessee Vols radio network.
Andy Kelly, one of those guys that you may forget about when you think about great quarterbacks here at the University of Tennessee, but actually 2 SEC titles here. That's one more than the great Peyton Manning has. So don't forget about him too soon. He's a guy that went on to have a great career in the Arena Football League as well.
Carl Pickens and Alvin Harper among his favorite targets back in the day.
That's not a bad tandem to throw the football to.
NFL caliber. Short kick. Hits at the 25, and Jackson takes it on one hop but goes down almost immediately at the 28-yard line. And time now to take a look at our scoring drive, powered by Ram. 12 plays, 84 yards, and a whopping 5 minutes and 42 seconds off the clock. In fact, the Volunteers are #1 in the SEC in time of possession, Chris, nearly 34 minutes a game.
Yeah, they've done a good job this year so far of possessing the football and turning those possessions into points. But the thing that I liked about that drive there, Matt, much more balanced than what we had seen from Tennessee in some of the previous games. And one thing they do well is they throw the football, but they need to get back to running the football a little bit better to provide some additional balance as they get into the SEC season.
Well, so far today, they've run the ball for 67 yards. Meantime, that's a pass play to Brandon Oliver, who's been shut down in the run game so far for the Bulls.
5 touchdown rushes already this season.
Again, Anderson wide open, and there he goes. Nobody will catch Chaz Anderson. Everybody bit on the fake to Brandon Oliver, and Anderson just sprinted 68 yards for the touchdown. Touchdown run by Chaz Anderson. The short kick, ball is loose, it's recovered by the Bulls at the 22. Brandon Murray got on top of that thing, and the small Bulls contingent here has a couple of big plays to cheer about.
Matt, you want to talk about compounding mistakes right there. Not only do you give up a big touchdown run, you come back on special teams, and you let the ball bounce on the ground. One thing you have to do on a kickoff is get on the ball. You're not trying.
Bulls an opportunity to get back in this ball game. Chaz Anderson sandwich at the 27-yard line. Malik Jackson and Marlon Wells collided on top of Anderson at the same time.
That's what you like to see right there. One of your veteran guys making a play when adversity strikes. Malik Jackson does a good job of combining with Marlon Wells, the sophomore, to sack Chaz Anderson, put them in a long down and distance situation.
2nd and 16, short pass. Too short for the fullback, Corey Knox, and now it's going to be 3rd and 16.
Maria mentioned the third thing that Derek Dooley stressed about his defense, and that's reducing space, something they didn't do very well against Florida. Jeff Dibbs and Chris Rainey did a good job of running wide open in the secondary once they got the ball in their hands. A little difference in speed, something that they have to improve in the secondary in particular.
Now the Vols try to come up with a big stop on 3rd down after the special teams mistake, firing for the sideline, incomplete. Ed Young, the intended receiver, and now it's 4th down, and the Bulls missed a golden opportunity to try to get 7 on this possession.
And the difference right there was 1st down as they gave up that sack. Chaz Anderson knocked back to about the 27-yard line, and they could do very little as Tennessee pinned their ears back and came after the pass, after the quarterback.
Peter Varden from Brisbane, Australia, is on for a 45-yard kick. He's made kicks of 28 and 40 this season, missed on 30 and 47. And he's missed this one.
That's a great job by the Tennessee defense right there. Exactly what you want to see when you're put into a backed up situation. They get the sack on 1st down, they get after the quarterback on 2nd and 3rd down and force a long field goal that goes wide and short. No harm, no foul on the flubbed kickoff.
The Bulls actually lost 6 yards after recovering that kickoff fumble. And the Volunteers come away from it unscathed. Now Tennessee back on offense. Bray, pump fake, going for it all. And it's caught on the sideline. Finally out of bounds at the 16-yard line. Derek Rogers with his 4th catch of the ball game.
We've seen Derek Rogers run out there on the hitch, and several times they completed the pass. Looked like they checked to the right for another hitch. Bray pump fakes on the hitch, and Rogers beats the corner down the sideline. Nice throw and catch. Rogers does a good job of leaving some room for Bray to drop the ball into. That's a big completion. They have to find somebody that can go deep in the void that Justin Hunter's injuries left here for this Tennessee offense.
Torrin Poole. And Poole just a couple of yards on that play. Courtney Lester, their cornerback, came up and submarined him.
Knocked out of bounds by Copeland.
You see Poole's numbers on the season, 217 yards rushing. He's averaging 72.3 a game. Rushed for over 1,000 yards a year ago, even though the Vols were dead last in the conference in running the ball. Today, he's 5 for 44. Marlon Lane now in there, and the play
Later in the game.
Marlon Lane down to the 10-yard line. Stephen Means, the defensive end, grabbed him by the leg and would not let him go.
Gotten from all the success that they had. This Tennessee program at this point in time is so far off from where they were during the 90s and the early 2000s.
Pass dropped by Rivera. He had a touchdown, and he dropped it on the checkerboard.
Pass intended for Rivera. Incomplete.
Great throw here by Tyler Bray. Waits for the tight end, Rivera, to come open. Sticks it on the money there. Rivera not able to complete the catch for a touchdown. Easy touchdown there. I know Rivera would love to have that one back.
Pilardi for 28 yards. 2 of 4 on his field goal attempts this season. He's now 3 for 5. So the Vols get inside the red zone, have to settle for 3. And with 30 seconds left in the first quarter, the Volunteers now have a 10-point lead at 17-7. Let's check in with Maria Taylor, who is not wearing orange pants today.
I am not, guys, but those orange pants have kind of become a person in themselves. They have their own Twitter account, a Facebook page with over 25,000 fans, a YouTube video with almost 40,000 hits, and Coach Dooley says he believes there's such a big hit because there's so much passion for Tennessee football. They just love to see people embracing the orange, guys.
Absolutely, and you know, he said that was one of the things that when you are from Tennessee, and the orange outside of Tennessee is not looked upon that favorably, but here on Rocky Top, they love their orange and they're not afraid to wear it and talk about it.
I can tell you firsthand, growing up a Gator fan and then playing at the University of Florida, it's tough to make orange look good, but I like those pants that Derek Dooley's wearing down there. In fact, you can go over here on campus and pick yourself up a pair. Our producer, Todd Manhinnett, tried to take me over there and get some, but unfortunately they were out of my size.
Okay.
Wasn't able to secure those on this trip.
Well, I understand the wool pants the orange wool pants that Derek is wearing are going about $400. So bring your credit card. Not much of a return by Terrell Jackson, and Tennessee has done a good job of containing him. That's just 17 yards on the return. And the Bulls go on offense at the 27-yard line. Our drive, powered by Ram, was 5 plays, 63 yards, culminating a 28-yard kick by Pilardi. Took a little bit less than 2 minutes as we are now inside the final 30 seconds of this first quarter.
Big play on that drive came on the hitch and go with a nice route by Derek Rogers, and an even nicer throw as Tyler Bray dropped it in to a small space on the sideline. Unfortunately, first time today we didn't see them stick it in the end zone when they had a red zone opportunity.
Anderson under heavy pressure, and it is nearly picked. It is not. It's ruled incomplete at the 31-yard line. Marcellus Teague nearly had himself a pick, but Chaz Anderson had to get rid of that ball in a hurry.
When you run the bootleg, you're expecting the end to buy the fake there. It looked like Chaz Anderson took a big hit and inadvisedly threw the ball on what easily could have been an interception. Teague not able to secure it there. We'll see if Anderson's okay.
Yeah, Anderson was shaken up on the hit. Coaches. Brandon Oliver on a very safe play. Handoff. Oliver pulls his way up to about the 31-yard line. Pick up a 3 on the play for Brandon Oliver. Malik Jackson in on that stop with the rest of the Volunteers. That was the final play of the first quarter. We'll see if Anderson's able return when we come back to the second. 15 minutes on Rocky Top. And it's been a good first quarter for the Tennessee Vols, seeking a 3-1 season start. They lead at 17-7 after one quarter of play. Presented by Regions Bank on CSS. Vols leading the Buffalo Bulls 17-7 as we begin the second quarter. Matt Stewart, Chris Dorian, and Maria Taylor with you. Bulls on offense. Zordich still out there at quarterback for the Bulls as Anderson was shaken up at the end of that first quarter. Newts makes the grab just beyond the sticks. That
certainly has been good on their 3 possessions.
Zordich drops it off to Knox, the fullback, and Knox run out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Knox is a guy who wasn't even on the team last year. They brought him. Incomplete. They tried to swing the ball out there to Brandon Oliver. Let's check in with Maria Taylor. Well, that's great news, Maria, because Chaz Anderson, Chris, has really been their only offense so far in this ballgame.
He's a guy that you can't afford to lose. His experience out there on the field alone is something that this young Buffalo team needs.
On 3rd and 1, Brandon Oliver pushes for the sticks, and I believe he got it. Ball game. Devin Young, Jordan Williams, and Alan Carson. Young in kick return, and Williams and Carson on the defensive line, bringing to 15 the total number of true freshmen they have played so far this season.
It just goes to show you exactly how young. 70% of this Tennessee roster are either freshman or sophomore.
Brandon Oliver again as the Bulls try to establish a running game here. There's a flag down on the field.
Men in the backfield. That penalty is 5 yards. Replay second down.
And Tennessee to this point has shut down Brandon Oliver running the football all day long.
First and 15 now. Handoff to Oliver. And Brandon Oliver makes a man miss. And Oliver gets back about 12 yards across midfield down to the 45.
Trying to improve during the bye week was that tackling, getting guys to the ground.
Zordich pass batted down at the line of scrimmage. Malik Jackson was the guy who got his hand on that pass, and now it's going to be 3rd down and short.
Pass broken up Malik Jackson.
3rd down and 2 coming up for the Bulls. They have driven inside of Volunteer territory at the 45-yard line. Heavy rush. Zordich dumps it off and incomplete for Oliver. Heavy rush. Zordich had to hurry the pass to get rid of it, and now it's going to be 4th down.
Matt, Buffalo had a perfect play on here as Brandon Oliver slipped out into the flat. Zordich could not deliver a catchable ball to him, but if he had a lot of running room on the outside for Buffalo, Tennessee's got to recognize and keep contained there on that pass there. They were lucky that they got away with that one.
Barden on to punt this one, and Devin Young makes the fair catch at the 12-yard line, and that's where the Vols will go back on offense. 2.5 minutes into the second quarter, Tennessee with a 10-point lead on CSS. SEC football on CSS is brought to you by Cook's Pest Control. Upgrade your home's termite protection to the unbeatable combination Cook's Pest Control and Centricon. Call Cook's for a free pest and termite evaluation. By Peak Performance. Put Peak Motor Oil in, save on gas. And by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. See them at your local dealer or visit PolarisIndustries.com. With a torn ACL today.
He plays through pain, though. He's a gamer.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was bothering him one bit, but the word is that Smokey will have to have surgery on that torn ACL. I didn't even know a dog had an ACL. Heavy rush, and Bray is dropped back at the 2-yard line. And now 2nd down and very long for the Volunteers backed up in their own end. They'll play it safe and run the ball. And Torin Poole slams it out there to about the 7-yard line. Josh Copeland, the safety, making the stop for the Bulls.
Matt, that's exactly what Jim Chaney wants to see from Torin Poole. He hit the hole hard. There was no dancing. There was no seeing ghosts. Went with a nice pad level. Exploded up through there for a good game.
Poole averaging 4 yards per carry. Had his 7th career 100-yard rushing game in the victory over Cincinnati. Third down, pressure again. Bray hit as he throws. Derek Rogers makes the grab. Rogers got a block. And there he goes down the sideline. Man has an angle. Still on his feet. He stepped out of bounds. Stepped out at the 34. And Zach Rogers threw the big block to spring him on the corner.
Matt, the play was initially made by Tyler Bray, hanging in there, allowing Derek Rogers to come open, and then a good job after the catch. Picks up a block from Zach Rogers, allowing Derek Rogers to get some extra yardage down the sideline there. Just a tremendous play by Bray to hang in there, and then the strike caught by Derek Rogers. Great run after the catch.
So now 1st and 10. Devin Young on the handoff, and Young on his first play from the line of scrimmage, at least where he touches the ball. Nice run, and again you hear the applause coming for Devin Young, the local favorite, who rushed for actually had over 7,400 all-purpose yards as the Tennessee Mr. Football Back of the Year, 3 straight years right here at Bearden High School in Knoxville.
When you lose a guy like Justin Hunter, he was their juice guy, as Derek Dooley said, a guy that's a big play receiver for them. Today, Derek Rogers has been the guy to step up.
Poole close to a 1st down at the 24-yard line. Chris, it's now time for our Cook's Pest Control thorough inspection of Tyler Bray.
Yeah, we mentioned Tyler Bray in the open. Has been a guy in 8 starts, 6-2 as the starting quarterback there. Leads the SEC in passing yards per game at over 300 yards and leads the SEC in passing efficiency. He's cranked it up another notch, though, in terms of talking with the coaching staff about the differences between last year and this year. This year, much more into running the offense. Last year, Jim Chaney said he just kind of survived, went out there instinctually, made some plays, but this year he's going through his progressions, making the right reads, and delivering the ball, as we saw, to Derek Rogers on time.
Maria Taylor down on the sideline. Maria?
Guys, Bray did admit that last year was a guessing game based on instincts, but Coach Dooley's excited because he's been in the film room, he's studying, but most importantly, he's starting to ask the right questions now.
Well, you see he is 8 of 11 for 179 and a touchdown today. There's so many numbers that he has that just jump off the page, but the 328.7 yards passing per game is the one that really impresses me. There he goes, right up the middle. And Poole nearly had himself a touchdown.
I know Poole would love to have this one back here as the C's part. Look at the big offensive lineman opening up the hole as Poole finds it, hits it hard, and really just gets tripped up by the grass there, or else he's in the checkerboard for another touchdown.
Poole now 8 carries for 65 yards. First and 10. No running room this time for Poole.
This is not just a guy who wants to be a good football player. When you want to be a great quarterback, you got to spend the extra time in the film room. You got to be out there on the field developing chemistry with your receivers, and that's something that he's done much better. You got to remember, this guy's only a true sophomore. Sometimes we look at him out there in the field and you think of him being a much more advanced football player, but he's only started, this is his 9th game in his career as a Tennessee quarterback.
Bray with time, dumps it off for the touchdown. Derek Rogers, his 2nd touchdown reception of the game, and it's 23-7.
Good job by Bray here, sitting in the pocket, letting the play develop. You got a mismatch there as Derek Rogers able to get a step on Courtney Lester. Rick Rogers walks in easily.
Good throw to hold Michael Pilardi to attempt.
Pilardi on for the PAT. And how about the day that Derek Rogers is having? Their first full game without Justin Hunter, and Derek has 6 catches for 154 in the first half. About halfway through this second quarter, and here is our scoring drive powered by Ram. 8 plays, 88 yards, took a little more than 5 minutes, and Derek Rogers with his 2nd touchdown reception today. And Rogers now a career-high 154 in the air. It's his 3rd career 100-yard receiving game. Time now for today's Fast 5 points on the SEC. Number 1, nation leading 5 teams in the top 25. Number 2, SEC 25-4 versus non-con opposition this season. Number 3, 10 SEC teams are over 500 since 07. 4 SEC schools have won the last 5 national championships. And number 5, 3 of the last 4 Heisman Trophy winners were from the SEC. Chaz Anderson back in there at quarterback, and the handoff to Brandon Oliver. Just very little running room at all today for Brandon Oliver, who had come in having rushed for 442 yards on the season, or more than the 298 yards he rushed for in 10 games a year ago. Only 8 carries for 21 yards today. On 2nd down, Chaz Anderson, broken route, throws it out of bounds.
Good job of mixing in man and zone coverages throughout the rest of the year.
Third down and 8. Misdirection. And Oliver lowers his helmet, but does not pick up the first down at the 30-yard line.
Oliver on the pitch.
Rod Wilkes, the backup strong safety, making the tackle for the Volunteers.
It's a good job there of getting off the field. Austin Johnson mentioned to us yesterday they have to improve in their 3-and-out sequences. Something they haven't done necessarily a good enough job of to this point in the season.
Devin Young looking up into the sun, lets that thing hit in front of him, then runs away from it, which is the wise thing to do, and it rolls dead at the 28-yard line. That's where the Tennessee Vols will go back on offense when we get back. SEC on CSS with the Vols leading by 17.
Man, let's take a look back at last possession for Tennessee. Big sack early in the sequence, backed him up to the 1-yard line, but Tyler Bray stood in there, delivered a strike to Derek Rogers, the guy that's been the big play receiver from them all day long on 3rd down there, produces not only a first down, but a big gainer, and then they come right back to him on the shallow cross. How about the day Derek Rogers has had to this point in time? 6 catches, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's his 3rd career 100-yard game, as you mentioned, 3rd 100-yard receiving day of the season as well.
And he had 2 catches for 70 yards on that drive you were just talking about. Going for the home run and looking for Neal, and Neal could not get around the defender. Najah Johnson was running step for step with him, and Neal could not get separation.
Good play there by Najah Johnson. As you mentioned, Neal, one of the faster guys on this Tennessee offense, and as you said, step for step with him. Tyler Bray tried to give Neal a chance, but I think Neal may have outrun Bray's arm in that situation.
Offensive coordinator Jim Chaney said that about 85% of the transition from running back to wide receiver is teaching them to line up and shove off right. If they got fast Is that incomplete right there? If they're able to be fast, he likes fast, that's a big part of it.
I would disagree with that. Being a former wide receiver, I don't think that you can just turn anybody into a receiver, and certainly speed is something you can't coach, but there's a lot of intricacies involved with playing the position, from alignment to depth to getting in and out of your breaks. And certainly one thing that you can't teach is hands. And right there you saw a drop by one of the other Tennessee offensive players.
Yeah, Devin Young. And now it's 3rd down and 10. Screen pass. Open space and a 1st down. Across the 50. Big gainer for Torin Poole, 31 yards.
Nice job here by Jim Chaney calling the screen pass to Poole as Tennessee ran off all of Buffalo's defenders. They were about 40 yards down the field, and there you see the speed of Torin Poole. 2 different levels here when you talk about SEC speed versus MAC speed. And that was something that defensive coordinator William Inge mentioned to us. These guys may not have seen speed like this before.
Marlon Lane on the carry this time, and not much doing for Lane. Fred Branch, senior linebacker for the Bulls, number 42, making the grab right there, making the grab on the runner, making the tackle. And now it's going to be 2nd down. Torin Poole is up close to 100 yards of total offense in this game, 97, 9 carries, 65, and a catch for 32.
He's the only senior starter on this Tennessee offense. They need him to play well. He was kind of a disappearing offensive player after the first carry of the game against Florida. Didn't do a whole lot. And ultimately, as I said before, was benched in the 2nd half.
On 2nd down, Zach Rogers, ball out. They'll rule it incomplete. Najah Johnson, looks like he got his hand in there and poked it free.
Zach Rogers tried to run a little bit before he secured the catch. That's Cardinal sin number 1 at the receiver position. You got to secure that football before you try to make a play. Running, and there you see the 3rd downs numbers for each of these teams. Tennessee's been very effective, as really they've been all year long. One of the best teams in the entire country on 3rd down.
On 3rd down and 9, Zach Rogers hangs on this time and picks up the 1st down. Zach Rogers cognizant of where he was on the field in relation to the sticks and got just enough to move him.
Good job by Tyler Bray. Recognizing man coverage, Rogers comes underneath on the slant route. Easy completion for the 1st down.
Technically, Zach Rogers was the one who got the start in place of the injured Justin Hunter today. Hunter, by the way, underwent successful knee surgery on Wednesday, 11 days after the injury. Bray slings it out to the outside and dropped at the 35-yard line. The fullback making the grab. Bartholomew on the grab. Justin Hunter, one of the top wide receivers in the entire Southeastern Conference. You see 17 catches for 314 when he went down with the injury, leading the SEC in total receiving yards, yards per reception, yards per game.
Jim Chaney told us he was turning into that elite style receiver, a guy that really had developed great chemistry with Tyler Bray, and a disappointing loss for this Tennessee offense.
A dance in the hole by Poole, and he scampers and lunges forward for a 1st down.
One of the keys that we talked about in the open, Matt, was finding some players that will fill the void that you lose in production with the loss of Justin Hunter. Obviously, we've seen Derrick Rogers step up big time today. Zach Rogers is another guy that the coaching staff mentioned to us. Rajon Neal. Going to need the young guys, DeAnthony Arnett, Vincent Dallas, to be productive as well. But outside of Derrick Rogers, I don't know if we've seen anybody really step up and make a huge contribution.
Bray out of the pocket, and he goes down at the 20-yard line. Went down awkwardly.
More well put together quarterback than last year, as he got thrown in there maybe a little early as a true freshman.
Neal on the carry again. This is what they scored on back in the first quarter. Gets shoved out of bounds. Coming up on the Sprint halftime report. And first half highlights and stats.
Of which there has been many for Tennessee. If you're a Tennessee fan, you got to be happy with the offensive production here to this point in time. Take away a couple plays defensively, and this has been about as good as you could have asked for if you're Derek Dooley.
Ball's 5 of 6 on thirds today, and that's another first down pickup and a touchdown maybe? Yes! DeAnthony Arnett, first time he's touched the ball today, is good for 6.
That's one of the guys we talked about a minute ago, needing to step up and fill the void for Justin Hunter's injury. Does a great job of turning the ball up the field after the first down. They didn't just settle for the first. He got into the end zone. How about that for a true freshman?
Pilardi good on the PAT. DeAnthony Arnett, a 4-star recruit out of Saginaw, Michigan.
Take a look here. Does a good job of pushing up the field, getting to the outside. The outside receiver clears out the corner. He's matched up on a linebacker there. That's one of those poor matchups that William Inge wanted to stay away from. Tyler Bray, DeAnthony Arnett exploit the matchup for a touchdown.
Your scoring drive powered by Ram. 11 plays, 72 yards, a touch under 5 minutes. DeAnthony Arnett, the 13-yard touchdown catch to cap it off, and Bray's now 13 of 19 for 250 in the first half and 3 touchdowns.
Well on his way here to his 6th 300-yard passing game coming into today. He was second amongst active quarterbacks in the SEC, one behind Stephen Garcia. So he's about to tie this thing up, and this is only his 8.5 game that he's played to this point.
That was also the first career touchdown catch for Arnett. And a whopping 31-7 lead now for the Vols, as Jackson returns to the 20-yard line, but no more. Time now to salute our victory first half player of the game, and it's Derek Rogers. 6 catches for a career high 154 and a couple of touchdowns.
He's done it with some deep receptions. He's done it with some big gains that he's turned in with some run after the catch, and there the shallow cross for the touchdown. Exactly what this Tennessee offense needed. Somebody to step up, kind of take over that leadership role at the receiver position. And Coach Chaney mentioned to us last week, what a disappointment, what a deflating factor early in that football game against Florida when Justin Hunter went down. Rick Rogers looks like the guy that's going to fill that void.
Downfield they go. Ed Young makes the grab in space and across the 50 down to the 40-yard line.
For the strike.
Absolutely. Anderson with more yards on the ground than he has had in the air so far. Brandon Oliver on the carry. Down to
Johnson and Daniel Hood.
ball thrown up for grabs and way out of bounds. Newtons was the guy closest to it to find themselves in these third down situations. Dropped. Marcus Rivers was at the sticks, would have had the first down right out of his hands.
That's the second time we've seen one of the receivers for Buffalo drop an opportunity to convert a third down there. Marcus Rivers, one of the big-time receivers for them, just did not secure the reception. Got to look it all the way in, tuck it away. At that point in time, you had the first down. Disappointing drop there for Buffalo.
Well, down 3+ scores. The Bulls are going to go for it right here, but they're going to think about it first by calling. Anderson, here comes the pressure, gets it out of there, incomplete. Ball goes over on downs. Balls brought the pressure from Wilkes off the edge.
Excuse me, Matt. Buffalo just not good enough to waste opportunities. And you mentioned a few minutes ago They make a big play and come back and compound the big play with an error that sets them back. They had an earlier turnover inside the Tennessee 25-yard line. The very next play, they take a sack. Here they make a big play with a reception to Young on that drive, and the drop pass on third down ultimately costs them.
So with 66 seconds to play in the half, Vols go back on offense. They start with a handoff to Marlon Lane, runs into his own man. Rogers downfield. College football coming up today on CSS. This is game. They sling it out there. Nice open field tackle by Joe Petit.
I believe here, if they win today against Buffalo, they'll be 3-1 for the first time since 2006. Really difficult to believe it's been that long since they've had that kind of start.
Final play of the half. And Torrin Poole with the carry. Over 100 yards of offense in the first half for Torrin Poole. A huge first half for Derek Rogers, 154 receiving, and Tyler Bray right at 250 yards passing and 3 touchdowns in the first half as well, as the Buffalo Bulls sprint to the locker room with a big deficit. Let's check in with Maria Taylor down on the sideline for the principal edge to the game.
Coach, you said coming into this game it was going to be a key to replacing Justin Hunter. Well, how about Derek Rogers play in the first half?
Derek's done a good job. We've converted third downs well. That's what's kept us alive, but we're giving up too many big plays on defense. So we got to play better the second half.
Do you feel like the physicality on both sides of the ball is up to your liking?
Well, it never is, and I'm just disappointed in the big plays. You know, we get out there in man coverage, we blow an assignment, nobody can get guys down. We get gutted on cover 2, so we got to do a little bit better on defense. We got to keep better execution on offense.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Okay.
All right, Maria. Big first half for the Tennessee Vols as they come out smoking and firing on all cylinders. Tennessee leading Buffalo 31-7 at the end of the half. The Sprint halftime report is coming up next. A year ago, this fourth game of the season was UAB, and the Vols struggled to beat the Blazers. In fact, probably would not have won that day if UAB had not missed 6 field goals. Set them up for a miserable month of October. Today, a much different scenario in this game against Buffalo.
Yeah, they've come out from the start. That was something that Austin Johnson mentioned to us. He wanted to come out with some enthusiasm. They've been flat after a lot of the ways they started the games coming out of the locker room. So today they came out 3 and out defensively, went right down the field in 3 plays offensively, and they haven't slowed down since.
We started the day by talking about Tyler Bray and how he's been mentioned in the same breath as Peyton Manning with some of the things that he's done here at the University of Tennessee. Another spectacular first half for the sophomore quarterback.
Oh, he's been tremendous, especially again on third downs, as we talked about earlier. 7 for 8. Tennessee's been able to convert those third downs. You see the touchdown, the first of 2 for Derek Rogers here, coming back on the shallow cross for his second. But it's been all about the big plays by Derek Rogers down the field with some big receptions. And here the freshman comes back with his first career touchdown. Tyler Bray has been absolutely fabulous.
And Chris, here's a look at our first half stats brought to you by Sprint.
Yeah, you see the time of possession heavily in Tennessee's favor there. 7 for 8 on those third downs, which have allowed him to extend some drives. But the real number there, the passing yards, 248 yards through the air, well on his way to his 6th 300-yard passing day of his career.
The Tennessee Vols with a 31-7 lead on the Buffalo Bulls. We'll see if the Vols keep the pedal to the metal in the second half. This locker room with a big 24-point lead.
Well, you can see when Maria spoke to him as he headed into the locker room, he was unhappy with the big plays that his defense has given up to this point in time. That was something heading into the game that he talked about. They had to do a better job of being assignment sound. They gave up 3 big plays, including the touchdown to Chaz Anderson there. They've got to fix those things and correct those here in the second half.
Let's check in with Maria Taylor. She spoke with Jeff Quinn just a few moments ago.
Very adamant about his team not getting beat structurally. He said they're doing a good job on the first and the second down, but they have to win the third down battle. And he said the second half, they have to win it and stop looking at the scoreboard and worry about what's happening on the field every single play.
All right, thank you, Maria. And they've actually been in most of their ball games. They've had chances to, they played well against Pitt. It was a 21-16 game in the fourth quarter against the Panthers, and we all saw what Pitt did against South Florida the other day.
Jeff Quinn told us about that as he's trying to get this Buffalo team back to where they're competing here in the MAC for championships. They can go a long ways today in getting some more experience, getting some young guys some playing time.
How about the speed of Devrin Young turning the corner in a big return across the 40-yard line for the freshman, making the most of his first opportunity to play in his hometown.
And that's exactly the reason why Derek Dooley wanted to get him out on the field for his debut today. We saw him with the big 48-yard kickoff return in the first half, and there the return on the kickoff here gets you in to just about midfield here as the Vols will take over at the 42.
Meantime, we started the day by talking about the big outside linebacker for the Buffalo Bulls, Khalil Mack, who's number 2 in the nation in tackles for loss. Well, the Vols have done a good job of neutralizing him. He has only one, make that 2 tackles in the first half of play. Not much doing right there on the kick.
Bulls done well. You talked about Rajon Neal with a touchdown in the first quarter as well. So I think so far so good here in terms of filling in for the missing Justin Hunter.
Poole on a sweep. Across midfield at the 49-yard line.
Take a look at the replay here. Nice job by the wide receiver cracking on the defensive end to give Tennessee the edge, and Torin Poole runs hard just about to the first down marker. Be third and about 1. That was always my favorite way. When you had to hit a big defensive end, you want to do it when they're not looking. A crackback block. You don't want them to know you're coming, or else you're in trouble.
3rd and 1. Poole gets it again. Poole has a first down. Slip trying to cut back. A little upset with himself right there because he thought he saw a running lane cutting back, but he does pick up the first down.
Good job by Ben Bartholomew there, the fullback, for taking the linebacker out. That's the second time we've seen Torin Poole kind of fall down on his own. He lost his footing earlier with a chance to score down inside the 15-yard line, and there slips down, but not before he's able to pick up the first.
Comes to the sideline, and Marlon Lane, the freshman, checks in. Lane's going to be a really good ball player for him, a 4-star recruit out of Daytona Beach, mainland. Gets the rock on this play. Marlon Lane crashes down inside the 40-yard line, picked up 6.
Down by Beans.
Jim Chaney told us he wanted his guys to be more physical on the offense at all positions there. Marlon Lane might want to run a little bit harder, or else he's going to hear about it from his coaches there on Sunday during the film review.
Did become the first Vol since Reggie Cobb to score in his first 3 career games. Ball dropped out there. Actually, they're going to rule that was a fumble because the ball was thrown backwards, and Vols 8 of 9 on 3rd downs. This is a 3rd and 10. Bray, backside pressure coming, throws, and it's dropped. One on the punt, standing at his 40-yard line. Jackson calls fair catch, makes it at the 15. And that's where the Bulls will go on offense for the first time. Early 3rd quarter at Neyland Stadium, the Tennessee Vols leading the Buffalo Bulls 31-7. Bulls out of the Mid-American Conference. Relatively young to FBS football. Didn't go D1 until 1999. Time now for the peak performance drive to the SEC Championship as you take a look at the Eastern Division, Florida and South.
SEC title games since the inception of that game in 1992.
Oliver, nothing. Ran right into the arms of Darrell Vereen As we take a look at the SEC scoreboard, this is a conference game next year. They've scored again. It's 21-0 now in that ball game early in the third quarter.
Arkansas, I believe, closed the gap to within 8 as well. 35-27 here in the update we saw in the stadium. So maybe Bobby Petrino's got him going in halftime.
Third down. Heavy rush. Anderson goes down. Quarterback sack. Back at the 6-yard line.
How'd you like to be Chaz Anderson right here as the pocket collapses from all directions? You'd like to be able to step up, but takes quite a shot there.
How about Jordan Williams out of your hometown, Gainesville, Florida High School, playing in his first collegiate game with the quarterback sack?
Yeah, GHS right there in Gainesville. Got away from the Gators, but coming to him with a big play on third down.
Heavy rush on the punt, line drive kick. Bounces right to Devin Young, and he picks it up. He wasn't going to take that one, but it came right to him, and so he returns it across the 50-yard line to the 49.
And not a lot you can do right here. Chaz Anderson stepping up. Pressure collapsed on him, goes down for the sack.
Move the ball back to the 44-yard line, and here is why. Watch the red arrow. You see Devin Young, he is waving everybody off. What that does is it freezes the play. I had a long conversation with Penn Wagers, the longtime SEC official, on my flight back from Fayetteville, and he explained this. Quick snap on the play, no flags, and defense.
I don't lie, I always thought it had to be a clear signal above your head.
And that's why they moved it back from the 49 to the 44. So now on second down, Bray dumps it off to the fullback. And Bartholomew, close to a first down across the 50-yard line. Jaleel Verser made the tackle.
It's a good job by Tyler Bray of reading the play and going to the right receiver. Bartholomew gets to the edge. He outflanks the widest defender. And while he's looking at the hitch, he delivers the flat route outside to Bartholomew for the first down. Or close to the first down. Third down actually here in a couple.
Bray, that's a first down. DeAnthony Arnett making the grab and then stepping out of bounds at the 42.
Matt, you saw the high snap there. This is something that Tennessee has struggled with going back to their game in Gainesville a couple weeks ago. Bad. They tried to work on that, but again, just a little bit of a high snap there.
Toss to Torin Poole, following his blockers, and Poole across the 30 down to the 28, and the flag down on the field. Fred Branch making the tackle for the Bulls. Yell at him every time they make a mistake. They're going to make mistakes. Poole.
Now, I think that fans, Tennessee fans, SEC fans alike, seem to remember where Tennessee was. But as I mentioned earlier, they haven't been ranked since that first week of the season back in 2008. This program is down. They've lost a lot of players to attrition, guys that have been either kicked off the team or transferred elsewhere. And they're having to play with a lot of younger players. You don't want to play in the SEC with true freshmen, but these guys are being put in a tough situation. And what you want to see is just a little bit of improvement from week to week.
Bray on 2nd and 13, firing, and a first down to Derek Rogers down to the 21-yard line.
Let me tell you,
big catch for him.
The more I watch Tyler Bray, the more you kind of wish you were out there catching balls from Tyler Bray. Does a good job of setting up in the pocket, letting Derek Rogers break open, and it fires it in there on a line. What a throw right to the big wide receiver for another first down.
He really has a great ability to stick that ball in there when there's not a whole lot of space. And Derek Rogers now has 7 catches for 180 today.
Looked good, too. Doesn't it coming off his hand? Spins it nicely there. Derek Rogers couldn't help but catch that one.
Poole dances in the hole and then cuts back in. Picks up about 3 yards on the play. And Bray has already today extended his school record streak of at least 2 touchdown passes in the game. He's now at 10 consecutive games, and Manning The longest he ever had was 7, and the 10 straight games now for Bray is the current longest streak in the SEC as well.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Already knocking Peyton Manning out of some of the record books.
Marlon Lane now checks in the ballgame at tailback after Poole went over 100 yards. He's now at 101 rushing for the game. It's his 8th career 100-yard game. Complete. Rivera down to the 6.
Good job by Tyler Bray as we get a chance to maybe look at the replay. Saw the blitz, knew that his guys couldn't pick up everybody that was coming off the edge, and delivers it to his hot route that's built in there for another first down. That's the big tight end, Michael Rivera. Good job of recognizing the defense, knowing they can't pick it up, and getting the ball out of his hands.
Second catch of the day for Rivera, 13 on the season. Bray able to get back on top of that ball. A similar trouble on an exchange just like that early in the Florida game 2 weeks ago. James Stone, the sophomore center out of Maplewood High School in Nashville. This offensive line's come a long way, still has a lot of maturing to do, however. Bray scrambling, looking for his options. Guns it into the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown. Arnett, his second touchdown grab of the day, the second of his career.
Tyler Bray does a good job of keeping the play alive. Buffalo defended who he wanted to go to originally on the left, rolls out, and the true freshman, DeAnthony Arnett, able to secure his second touchdown of the afternoon. I think they're going to take a look at this, though.
As we suspected, it is a touchdown, and it's now 37-7. Just to complete the thought on DeAnthony Arnett, he had 8 catches against Florida, all after Hunter was injured. It was the biggest day for a freshman wide receiver since Kelly Washington had 11 catches versus LSU back in 01. You remember Kelly Washington?
I remember Kelly Washington for sure. 2 catches today for Arnett, 2 for touchdowns.
And Pilardi through the uprights. 38-7 balls late here in the third quarter on CSS. Bray now with 6 career 300-yard passing games, which is tied for the most in the SEC among active quarterbacks, tied with Stephen Garcia. Jackson on the return, and Jackson dropped by Vereen shy of the 30-yard line. That's where the Bulls go back on offense. Our drive, powered by Ram, was 10 plays, 56 yards, a little bit more than 5 minutes. The second career touchdown catch for DeAnthony Arnett. One of the things really stands out, you think of the Tennessee Vols, and they're such a prolific passing team, and typically passing teams have short drives. They have pretty stout 4 or 5 minute drives.
Well, the key has again been third downs today. We talked in the first half, 7 for 8 in converting third down opportunities. And that's really what allows you to get into an offensive rhythm is being able to extend drives like that.
Terrell Jackson on the grab. It's on the play, 2nd down and 4 coming up as we're now under 3.5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. No running room whatsoever for Brandon Oliver today.
That was something that Tennessee struggled with all season long. They've given up some big plays on the ground, and they've done so today as well. Really giving Brandon Oliver nowhere to go.
Only 30 yards for Oliver today on 13 carries. His previous low this year was in his last game when he went for 84. They toss it to Oliver right there. He picks up the first down, crossing the 40 and up to the 45-yard line. Time up for 214 consecutive games. The last was 1994.
One of the better games I think we had played on the road at that point in time.
Did they?
Place holds 100,000 people. Got knocked out the week before against Kentucky, and here against Tennessee, obviously a big rival of ours at the University of Florida. I catch a pass and take a shot to the head. I'm a little dizzy, a little woozy, Guys start talking a little trash to me. I always engage back, and as I'm walking backwards talking, I step on the football, fall down, and the entire 100,000 people here laugh at me, man. So another one of the embarrassing moments in my career. Caught on tape. I thought we were going to have some tape of it here. I'm glad Todd didn't find that down in the truck.
Anderson, running for his life, steps out of bounds at the 45-yard line and takes a 3-yard loss.
Tough spot here in 3rd and 12. Not a play you want to have to call if you're the offensive coordinator.
Play clock ran out.
False start. Number 78 on the offense.
So aside from today's game, what they've been able to do on the ground has been pretty good.
Yeah.
Today, no success at all against Tennessee. Anderson, he's been their primary weapon, and skipping the rope, you know, skipping players like he's skipping rope, gets across the 50-yard line, but short of the first down.
But it looks like Buffalo's going to go for it here on 4th down.
What the heck? Less than 30 seconds to play in the quarter. You're down more than 4 scores. Bulls have converted half of their 4th downs. Not this time, though. Vereen drops Anderson after he fumbled the ball, and not only does the ball go over on downs, the balls pick up a few extra yards on the conversion as well.
Take a look here at Anderson. Sees Vereen coming off the edge. Probably had something to do with him losing that snap there, and the ball goes over to Tennessee inside Buffalo territory.
Final 11 seconds of this 3rd quarter. Bray stays in there at quarterback. Remains to be seen whether we see him in the 4th with such a big lead. Bray looking downfield, directing traffic. Rivera twisted around like a pretzel, still made the grab inside the 30-yard line on the final play, or what may have been the final play of the 3rd quarter.
Really like the play call there, Matt. Buffalo had all 11 of their guys up inside the box. Tennessee with a little play action pass. It's another 1st down. Tennessee's in position.
Fires end zone.
On Buffalo, Matt Stewart, Chris Doering, and Maria Taylor with you. As we start the 4th quarter, balls up 31, and they have it 1st and 10 at the Bulls' 28. Lane on the carry. Lane brought down at the 26-yard line. Petit making the tackle for the Bulls.
Good opportunity, I'm sorry, Matt, for some young guys to get some meaningful playing time here in the 4th quarter. You talked about the true freshman Marlon Lane in there. Tight end Brendan Downs is in there as well. So I think we'll continue to see a lot of these younger guys get an opportunity to play as we continue in the 4th quarter.
2nd down and 8. Pass is broken up. Najee Johnson making the breakup out there. 3rd down and 8. They set up the screen. Marlon Lane, 1st down and more. Down to the 9.
Take a look at this replay here. Good job by Tyler Bray of letting the play develop. He lost Marlon Lane there in the shuffle. Waited for him to come out of the mix, and then Lane doing a little fancy footwork to get down inside the 10 for another 1st down. Great job of Tyler Bray. You love his presence there in the pocket. It just really looks like he's got great command and understanding of what Jim Chaney's trying to do with this offense.
First and goal from the 9.
Done for sure, and this is a guy that was kind of thrust into action early as a true freshman, has really handled it well. One of those California guys, you get the understanding that nothing really kind of gets this guy upset. You know kind of why he's able to be so cool in the pocket too, with that laid back style he's got.
Tom Smith in the ball game now, and he's another one of the freshmen getting some carries now. 150 yards rushing for the Volunteers today after gaining less than 82 yards per game in their first 3 contests. And Derek Dooley knew that with the loss of Justin Hunter, that didn't mean getting production just from other wide receivers. That meant getting help from the running game as well. Play blown dead.
Looking for him to minimize those as he continues to gain more experience.
Bray, incomplete, trying to get it to the other freshman wide receiver, Vincent Dallas. First time they've tried to get it to him. Play didn't have a whole lot of opportunity for success as Bray was under heavy pressure.
Yeah, good job by Buffalo bringing pressure more than what Tennessee could block. And Bray did a good job of buying some time, trying to let the routes develop a little bit, but just had to throw it off his back foot and couldn't get enough on it to get to Vincent Dallas.
Pilardi with a 28-yard field goal already today, and now another. 41-7 Tennessee early in the 4th quarter. Football time in Tennessee. Vols leading Buffalo 41-7 here early in the 4th quarter, and many of those orange-clad fans have made their way home. Pretty comfortable and confident that the Vols are going to pick up their 3rd win of the season. Flag out on this play, so the Buffalo Bulls will take over at the 40-yard line after the kick goes out of bounds.
Of the afternoon.
Anderson slings it out to Jackson, and Terrell Jackson dropped at the 46-yard line. Completion to Oliver. He's got a first down.
Fastest guys, but one of those dependable players you need to have on your defense.
And he's also the hardest working guy. Prentice Wagner got Jansen Jackson got kicked off the team during the summer. So in essence, you have a Volunteers team here 4 games into the season playing without what they would consider their best player on defense and their best player on offense.
Yeah, you lose Jansen Jackson prior to the season, and you lose Justin Hunter last week in the first drive of that game against Florida. Really deflating for these young guys, especially not a lot of leadership, not a lot of folks to look to that have had success. And that's one of the things Derek Dooley mentioned to us, is you got to find a way for these guys to visualize what it's like to be good.
Anderson hands off to Oliver as the Bulls have driven down to the 15-yard line of the Volunteers. Let's bring in Maria Taylor down on the sideline.
Guys, you've talked a lot about the youth on this Tennessee roster, and 70% of it is freshmen and sophomores. Coach says
it's the downside of that. The good side of that situation is that those 70% players that are freshmen and sophomores really have no connection to what happened with Lane Kiffin or with Philip Fulmer, although, of course, there was no negativity with Philip Fulmer, just the end of his career, but certainly the negativity that came with the 1 year that Kiffin was the head coach. Attempted pass out to Rivers, and he was shut down out there on the edge by Art Evans.
And Matt, I started to mention the theme of what this season is, the phrase that Coach Dooley's used a lot: relentless pursuit of continued improvement. These guys are aware that these young guys are going to make mistakes. They're aware that they're growing. But what they want to see is that their effort level is there in trying to improve on those mistakes. Don't make those mistakes twice. Once you do something, learn from that and go out there and play better the next time.
3rd down, heavy rush, ball thrown up towards the corner of the end zone and incomplete. And then Ed Young slips on those tiles down there in the corner of the end zone. On for a 30-yard attempt right in the middle of the field. And Peter Farden puts it through. to make it 41-10 here on CSS. 41-10, Tennessee leading Buffalo here with 8.5 minutes to play. Our scoring drive powered by Ram, a 9-play, 47-yard march, capped by Peter Farton's 30-yard field goal as the Bulls get back on the board for the first time since scoring on that long touchdown run by Chaz Anderson back in the first quarter. Devin Young will take inside the 10. And Young, ball out, and it is recovered. That is the second kickoff that they have fumbled, and the second kickoff that has been recovered by the Bulls in this game. Akil Dudley, number 59, was the one who recovered, and this is the kind of stuff that late in the game going to put a little smudge mark on what otherwise has been a pretty good day.
You know what was interesting, though, when we talked to Derek Dooley yesterday about Devin Young specifically, he said we're going to have him back there returning kicks, returning punts. He may go out there and fumble the first one, so there's this level of expectation. He knows that these guys are young players. They know they're going to make mistakes, and they know they're going to have to grow through those mistakes.
Zordich in there now at quarterback. Hands off to Jeffon Gill. And Gill was tackled by Kurt Magid. Magid has been legit as a freshman. 7 tackles here today for Magid.
How about this? Two true freshmen starting at linebacker for Tennessee. These guys certainly play with much more experience than what you would think as true freshmen mostly coming in here would display. These guys are great studiers of film. They've got great instincts. And Austin Johnson, the middle linebacker, has been very complimentary of those two guys around him.
Start the season opener against Montana. Never once before and twice in the same season opener when Magid and Johnson took the field. And they won the starting job after about a week.
Yeah, when we talked to Justin Wilcox yesterday, he mentioned that these guys came in and after about a week's worth of time on campus had moved up on the depth chart to where they were starting. And again, they play with much more experience than what you would expect from these guys that were playing in high school last year.
Third down and long. Zordich has, by the way, replaced Anderson as the quarterback. Probably for the rest of the game. Zordich will run and step out of bounds. Brings up
opportunity to see them taking in the setting, taking pictures here in Neyland Stadium. I think these guys really enjoy the opportunity to play against competition like this from the SEC.
Zordich on 4th down, got it in there, nope, out of bounds. Young
Macy take over, new quarterback in here for Tennessee as Sims takes over.
Yeah, Matt Sims in there at quarterback. Nothing doing on his first snap, and as we take a look at today's Geico great save of the game, we'll take a look at it and listen to the voice of the Tennessee Vols, Bob Kessling.
Bray on 2nd down, back to throw, looks left. Fires now back right. The pass complete to the 5 to the checkerboards. Touchdown, Tennessee. Dayrick Rogers.
Dayrick Rogers with 2 touchdown grabs today. And there's Bob Kessling, one of the best in the business and certainly a good guy on top of that. Doing his work up in the Tennessee Vols radio booth. Stopped by and said hello to us as we were sitting down for a little breakfast before today's game. Matt Sims in the ball game for the Vols. He is the son of legendary, should we say, New York Giants Super Bowl championship quarterback Chris Sims, who now, or Phil Sims, I should say, who is, of course, and Chris Sims' brother. There's a lot of Sims. There's a lot of Sims. There's Phil, who played for the Giants. There's Chris, who played for the Longhorns, and there's Matt, who plays for the Volunteers.
No pressure growing up. A Sims there to be a good quarterback, is it?
No expectations whatsoever. 3rd down. Ball up in the air. Vincent Dallas thought he might have a shot at it on the ricochet, and now it's going to be 4th down.
Looked like the disappointing losses there for the Utah State faithful.
Jackson deep for the Bulls back at the 40-yard line. Heavy rush, and it's blocked. That's the second week in a row. It's picked up by Dar, who will run for a first down. Saran Hood blocked it, but then the ball was sitting right there in front of Dar, who picked it up and ran 18 yards for the first down.
Matt Dar was a tight end and a defensive end in high school, in addition to being a punter. So when this ball is on the ground, he picks it up, reverts back to some of those high school tight end moves he had there.
Yeah, Dar is not your typical punter, in that he was also a two-time state champion shot putter and a state champion in the discus. So he is a well-rounded athlete, as he exhibited right there on that block punt, by not only having the wherewithal to think quickly, pick it up and run for the first down, but having the ability to run for the first down.
6'1", 220 there, showing a little bit of elusiveness, picking up some blocks, reading what's going on in front of him.
Well, I'm thinking if the punter thing doesn't work out, he can just eat a lot of hamburgers and pizza and become a fullback.
Did you see how excited his teammates were there on the sideline after he got tackled? Everybody coming over there to slap the freshman on the head and give him a good job. That a boy, man. That was a nice play after turning what was a terrible play into a positive play.
Yeah, Dar looks like he might have thought about that one for a while. Probably lying in bed awake. He said, now, if the punt ever gets blocked, I can still pick that thing up and run. Most punters at that point, they're running for the hills. They're
like following the ball. Yeah.
Get me out of here. I'm going to kick it out of the back of the end zone. I don't want any part of this ball. Dar's like hoping, I hope one day they block it. Then I can run it.
I played with a guy named Shane Edge at the University of Florida. Was the exact same way. Sometimes he would tuck it up and go on his own if he saw something on the edge, and he was a good athlete there. Matt Dar, a good athlete with what he was able to do and picking up that first down for Tennessee.
Well, that kind of mitigates the fact that that was the second consecutive week that they have had a blocked
punt. They might need to tighten up that protection a little bit more.
Yeah, everybody kind of forgot about the fact that the downside of that play is the punt was blocked. You might not be so fortunate as to have it sit at your feet and pick it up and run.
See what happened there. Buffalo was not trying to block the kick. That was actually just a safety man ensuring that Matt Dar, in fact, was going to kick the ball, so all the rest of the Buffalo return guys had retreated to set up the wall. There was nobody there to defend against Dar once he picked the ball up.
Three minutes to play in this one here at Neyland Stadium. It's been all Tennessee Volunteers. They scored on their first two drives of the ball game to grab a 14-0 lead. They have never trailed today. Tom Smith on the carry for the Volunteers. Let's take a look at the Right Stuff Player of the Game, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. And it is none other than Tyler Bray. Again, phenomenal numbers. Just another day at the office for Tyler Bray. 21 of 30 for 342 and 4 touchdowns. Tyler Bray exhibited the right stuff to win.
He makes 300-yard passing days look easy, doesn't he there? 6 of his 9 starts for over 300 yards. No interception. Probably the most impressive thing when you're a guy that's as young as Tyler Bray is. Does a good job of protecting the football and not throwing any to the opposite jerseys today.
He will improve to 7-2 as a starting quarterback, 5-0 at home as a starting quarterback. And Tom Smith was that close to breaking off a long run and got tripped up at the last second.
Kendall Roberson did a good job there, or else Tom Smith would have been dancing in the checkerboards as well. Big number 92 with some pursuit from the backside to keep him out of the end zone.
But going back to Tyler Bray, he has increased. He came into this ball game. His career yards per game as a starter was 316. 316. I mean, that's your career passing average per game.
That's not bad.
Oh, wow. Smith jumped at the wrong time and got hit in midair.
And we mentioned earlier his 6th career 300-yard passing game ties him with Steven Garcia for the most of any active quarterback in the SEC. Just goes to show you how different the conference is now from what it once was. Back in the days when Peyton Manning and Danny Werfel, all those guys, throwing for 300 yards routinely. It's turned into a much more run-oriented league and a much more defensive-oriented league.
Inside the final minute here at Neyland Stadium, the road gets much more difficult for Tennessee, but the good news for the Volunteers is that the road keeps leading them right back here to Neyland Stadium, because they got Georgia and LSU in consecutive games here at Rocky Top. They go on the road for their third Saturday of October. They're playing at Alabama, and then they've got South Carolina here.
Yeah, if there's any solace that Tennessee fans can take, it's the fact that they'll get the majority of those tough games right here at Neyland Stadium. Great home field advantage. So happy to have a chance to come back here today and take part in what is great tradition here at the University of Tennessee.
Well, the Vols are 3-1 for the first time since 2006. And they are now 9 and make that 7-2 in Derek Dooley's last 9 games, not to mention Tyler Bray's 9 games as a starting quarterback. His career here at Tennessee started out quite rocky, but it is evened out now. But the true test is coming up here in the next 4 weeks in the month of October. We'll see how much progress they've really made. I dare say they've made a lot. Today they waxed Buffalo 41-10.
Great part about it is you go back, you watch the tape, you take it with a grain of salt. Some of the good things you did well, you improve upon the things that you did poorly, and you get ready, you buckle that chin strap for a ride ahead here against, starting with Georgia here next week.
Derek Dooley and the Tennessee Vols have had to deal with a lot of adversity, and most of it for Derek Dooley has not been of his own making. He's been able to come in here and turn things around, and now the Volunteers are 3-1. A 31-point win over the Bulls of the MAC today.
You look back at what happened during the off week, I think you would say that was successful. It healed up from that loss to Florida a couple weeks ago. Wanted to come out and establish more of a running game, which they did today against a pretty good defense that Buffalo put out there against them. One of the things you look at, they got to clean up still. Too many big plays defensively. They gave up a long touchdown to Chaz Anderson early on. They gave up a big pass on a cover 2 post there that they got to clean those things up here in the future.
All right, Maria Taylor is standing by with Volunteers star quarterback Tyler Bray, who threw for 4 touchdown passes this afternoon.
All right, Tyler, a question coming into this game was filling the void of Justin Hunter, but it seems like you found a brand new favorite in Derek Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, even when Justin was here, me and Derek were still throwing like we were today. It's just Justin was getting the other catches Derek normally didn't get, so all our receivers went out and played great.
And you said this could be a confidence builder looking forward into the SEC matchup. How does this game make you guys better?
First half, we played great, played like we should. In the second half, we came out a little flat. The lead kind of, I think, a little mental got in our head that we had a big lead and didn't come out and play.
All right, thanks.
Tennessee a 41-10 win over the Buffalo Bulls today as the Volunteers improved to 3-1 on the season. Coming up next, the Georgia Bulldogs. That'll be next Saturday night right here on Rocky Top. Big day for Derek Dooley and the Volunteers as they bounce back following their loss to the Florida Gators 2 weeks ago. Bray goes for 342 and 4 touchdowns. Torrin Poole 101 on the ground. Derek Rogers 7 catches for 180 and 2 scoring grabs. Derek Dooley and the Vols back in the win column today as they beat Buffalo. Now for Chris Doering, Maria Taylor, and the entire crew, I'm Matt Stewart. So long from Rocky Top. Now 3-1 on the season with a 41-10 victory over Buffalo. Matt Stewart along with Chris Dorian. And Chris, the nice win for the Volunteers here today as they move into what is a monstrous schedule in the month of October.
Yeah, you had the disappointing loss 2 weeks ago to Florida. You had the bye week. Now you come back and get a big win over Buffalo, but you mentioned that monstrous schedule that's on the horizon. You got Georgia here next week, followed by LSU. You go to the big rivalry game at Alabama on the 22nd of October, and then finish up at home here with games are right here at Neyland Stadium.
Another good thing is the Volunteers have a sophomore quarterback named Tyler Bray, who continues to light it up. Another 300-plus passing game for Bray and 4 more touchdowns.
Yeah, that's a fairly good thing today. Love the way he went out today. Another 300-yard passing day from the get-go, right down the field, doing a good job finding his leading receiver, Derek Rogers, who had an absolutely huge day for the Vols. 7 catches, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's an all-time high for him. His third 100-yard receiving game of the season.
He's got 14 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions this season. And look at the completion percentages as well. 70% today against the Bulls.
A lot of it had to do with the balance as well. You look at the one day he was almost at 50% there against Florida, came when they couldn't run the football at all. Today, Jim Chaney did a good job of mixing the run with the pass, provided some balance, and therefore some opening opportunities to throw the football down the field.
When they nitpick the game, Derek Dooley will look back at some of the big plays they gave up on the defensive side of the ball, but overall they slammed the door on the Bulls' rushing attack.
Yeah, they did, and certainly that was one of the big things coming into this football game was trying to stop the run. Brandon Oliver really had nowhere to run today for Buffalo. But the big thing, as you mentioned before, is trying to minimize those big plays. They gave up a couple today, one on the Chaz Anderson touchdown run, another long pass that they were able to complete right before halftime. So it is nitpicky, but if you're Derek Dooley, you got to clean up those mistakes, as the opponents you're going to be facing here in the future are going to be much better than the one that Buffalo was brought in here today.
Yeah, Buffalo a loser today. Tennessee a 41-10 win, as the Vols are now 3-1 to start a season, believe it or not, for the first time since 2006.